But there's the larger part of the game that must be paid attention to as well. And recognize that basketball, football, soccer, and other things are primal male games, and ultimately are games of war, and involve themselves about the defense of territory. The line that runs down the center of the basketball court is a borderline. It separates two antagonistic forces. And the major problem there is to defend your territory against incursions from the other side. And to what? Invade and take from the other what one must take in order to win and to survive. And it's interesting to see a whole psychology operating there. The psychology of teamwork, the psychology of organization, the psychology of morale, the psychology of hierarchy with captains and guards and other people operating there to defend territory and to defeat the enemy. And yet to see black men play that game and miss all the points. To see black men walk on that court and call themselves by one name, Bulls and Bullets and Knicks and Celtics, to take one name and operate under that name, identify with that name, be proud of that name, organize around that name, and on top of that, to dress just alike in uniforms. Yes. To organize themselves and sit down and plot strategy and tactics. To study the nature of the enemy and seek to defeat that enemy. Isn't it amazing that black men can go on these courts and on these football fields, playing these primordial games of men and the games that reflect the realities of life, and cannot play them in real life? And can only play them under the courtship and the management of white men. Create billions of dollars of wealth playing for pennies. $5 million a year is no money when you're creating 2 and 3 billion or more. Going into a ring, knocking another man's brains out for $20 million is no money when the match itself generates over $200 million to $300 million. And you got a bunch of jokers out there living vicariously through this battle. And so you got a bunch of men who will take one name, Bulls and so forth, and wear one uniform. And when they come off the court, you say, then, why don't we call ourselves African? I'm an individual. You say, all of a sudden we're individuals. We're not connected. We are interbred with all kinds of races and groups. And yet this is how you make your money. This is how the thing works out. So there's a larger psychology there. So we get young black males who will attack other ethnic group males when they're kids just for walking down the street. They'll attack each other. I was talking to a lady the other day, a mother the other day, about her son who is literally locked within his own neighborhood because if he crosses the street that way, the gang that belongs to that project will attack him. And if he goes the other way, that one will attack him. Territoriality. Territoriality. Turf, as they say. Isn't it interesting then that men and black men and young black boys can have this sense of territoriality? But when they become grown men, Arabs can walk into the neighborhood and take the money and take the women. Koreans walk into the neighborhood, take the women, take the money. impoverish their children. All other ethnic groups just walk in and freely take and win and rule over them. What happens to the sense of territoriality? But yet you go into these courts and you play into the midnight protecting territory. Someone must have psyched your mind out. You're not approaching these games correctly. The game you're playing is the game played on you. Let's understand that. Therefore, you must study the dynamics of power. And confront it for real, because it's the only thing that's going to keep you alive. There's no guarantee that you will be alive except that you fight to stay alive.